What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. Today I want to make a video about being a tall rider. Today I want to make a quick video on how I modify my bike to work for my tall self. Thanks for tuning in. As a lot of you tall guys probably already know, it is very hard trying to find a motorcycle that fits us, and I'm 6'7". Once you get into the 6'5", 6'6" range and above, bikes become, it gets to the point of where you can't even fit on bikes anymore. That's one of the reasons I absolutely love the ADV and dual sport bikes. Almost all of them fit me pretty well. Some of them a little worse than others, but most of them can be modified in general to make them fit me. Currently I own a 2019 WR250R, it's a Yamaha. As far as smaller displacement bikes go, this is the best I've found yet. And I've owned a DRZ 400, KLR 650, DR 650. I've owned a lot of different bikes now. So that's why I wanted to make this video about modifying your bikes as a taller rider to make them a little bit, even if it's just a little bit better, it helps significantly. So I'm gonna give you guys a little tour on the modifications I do to almost all of my bikes to make them better for my size riding off-road. So as a tall rider, there's a few things you can do to make your riding experience so much better. First off is bars. Bars are huge. Obviously, I mean, if you elevate the controls up, it is going to make your riding experience so much easier for you, especially if you're a taller dude. It's also important to note with bars, you don't want to go too high, you don't want to go too forward or too far backwards. Doing any of those can cause adverse handling effects, and it's not going to help you on the trail. If you go too high, it's going to throw off your attack position, and then you don't want them too far forward as well. It's going to make steering the bike really wonky if you have them too far forward, and then you don't want them too far back as well. The steering is going to be funky if you do that as well. How I have mine set up, I usually run ATV high bars. Right now I have the Tusk Chubb ATV high bars. For me, that's the perfect balance. And like I said, I'm 6'7". I feel like I'm very, very tall compared to the average person. There's a reason why you don't see motocross riders, they don't modify their bikes at all. But we're not racers, we're just riding for fun. And having more comfort just elevates the fun for me. So here we are. Bars. Bars is very important. I'll give you guys a close-up here real quick. So here is my bar setup. As I said before, I have a Tusk Chubb ATV high bar. This is a thicker bar. It doesn't need the crossbar. Another tip for tall riders, if you guys are changing out handlebars and you don't have enough throttle cable, you can actually take your housing. These normally run over the bars and down. I actually, on all of my bikes, I switch it so you can see here, it runs down and under. I've personally been doing this for about 6-7 years and I have yet to encounter an issue. So for most bikes, you're going to have to get a plus 2-inch clutch cable. There's no getting around it unless you completely reroute it. I don't like rerouting my clutch cables. I like going with the factory routing because these companies know what they're doing. Being a taller rider, you're gonna weigh more. I guess that's just physics in general. You don't need to air down your tires as much as normal sized people do. The benefit of, I'm sure you've heard people talk about online, air down your tires, it makes off-road riding easier. That's not as necessary with guys our size. Personally, I run 20 PSI no matter what I'm doing, whether it's riding road, single track, it doesn't matter. I'm running 20 to 25 PSI all the time. I could be in deep sand, I'm not gonna change my pressure. So I'm 260 pounds, I'm about 100 pounds more than the average person. Even if they are the same pressure as a normal sized person, tires on my bike are already gonna be much more flattened no matter what the terrain is. And being a bigger dude in general, weighing more, it's gonna put you at more risk for having a pinch flat or just issues with your tires on the trail, potentially bending a rim too. For that reason alone, I don't change the pressures on my tires. Drop pegs. Drop pegs is something that you often don't hear talked about a lot. It makes a huge difference. It increases the seat to peg distance when you're sitting down, and the drop pegs actually help with you standing up riding too. So my drop pegs are the Fastway Evo 3 drop pegs. They drop the pegs about a ½ inch more. Now there's a few disadvantages to this. The main one is going to be when you're riding trails that have big ruts, for instance. Those pegs will probably be hitting the side of the ruts at some point or hitting the bottom. If you're going through tree stumps, you could catch a tree stump with it. I've actually broken a toe getting my foot smashed between a tree stump, my foot peg. I prefer comfort. I'll take the risk for the comfort. It just makes it that much easier for me. So drop pegs, they're not available for all bikes. Honestly, the drop pegs I have on this bike aren't even made for this bike. They're made for a WR250F. Another one that I want to talk about is a tall seat. I have a Seat Concepts tall seat. Basically what it does is it just increases the seat height of the bike, which helps with your seat to peg distance once again. And this isn't really a standing up help because obviously when you're standing, you're not using the seat, but when you're sitting down doing long highway jaunts or road riding in general, this really helps. helps because it makes it so your knees are less bent. It's very nice for that reason alone. So I recommend tall seat to any tall rider out there that needs it. And then another one I want to mention is adjusting your shift lever and your rear brake lever. These two things really, I mean, especially if you get drop pigs, you have to do it regardless. These two things will really make a difference too. I wear size 15 MX boots, so fitting, and I still have the stock shift lever. I don't need an extended one. So, I mean, adjusting that can really help your experience as well. I know it's not a comfort mod per se, but doing that will really help with your riding in general. And how you position them and how you do them more is personal preference than anything, in my opinion. You'll have professional riders and people who do this all the time giving you all sorts of different answers, but the ultimate answer is do what you're comfortable with. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And then another thing I always modify as a taller rider is suspension. The front and rear suspension on this are fully valved, gold valves front and rear. I did it myself. I redid the shim stack, went with Racetech's recommendations, and it completely changes the bike, and it also makes it so it sags where it's supposed to be, which is really important for handling characteristics. But yeah, that's another thing you can do. Although that's not exactly a comfort mod for taller riders. It's just something you want to get done. So as I stated in the video, guys, that's just a few things that you guys can do to make your riding experience a lot easier as a taller rider. Being as tall as me, I have to go like an extra foot just to go from sitting to standing position. So essentially I'm doing a full squat every time I go from sitting to standing. On top of that, I have to go into deep modifications with my bikes, every single one, to actually get the most comfort out of it in general. You super tall riders like me know exactly what I'm talking about. There's just bikes in general that don't even work for us. I appreciate y'all watching. If you like my content, drop me a like, subscribe, comment. If you dislike my videos, dislike it. It is what it is, man. You guys have an awesome one. Thank you for watching.